This is the Ford C6 transmission. Built by Ford to be a rugged automatic capable of handling their V8 lineup, it's pulled its weight in everything from daily drivers to stump pullers, off-road rigs, and tire-smoking strip machines. Hi folks, Ed here. Welcome back to Bono's Garage. Today, we're shining a spotlight on one of Ford's toughest and most iconic transmissions. The C6 Automatic's sheer strength and dead simple design make it a favorite for all kinds of car and truck builds, and it still holds its own in a ton of classic Fords today. But how much do you really know about what's going on inside that case? Stick around, because by the end of this video, you might just know more than your mechanic does.
Hello.
The C6 rolled out in 1966, stepping in for the older MX and FX automatics. Ford needed a gearbox tough enough to handle the muscle of their big V8s like the 429, 460, and the iconic FE series engines. Enter the C6, a 3-speed automatic built for serious torque duty. Unlike its cast iron predecessors, the C6 used lighter materials while still delivering solid performance. This transmission quickly earned a name among Ford fans and builders as a gearbox that could handle anything you threw at it. It stuck around in production until 1997, an impressive 30-plus year run that proved its staying power. What really makes the C6 stand out is just how many roles it can play. You'll see it bolted up to everything from small block Windsors to Ford's massive big blocks and even the International Harvester diesels in Ford's toughest trucks. But here's the catch. The bell housing isn't interchangeable. You'll need the right C6 for your engine family, and Ford made 4 main versions. One for the small blocks like the 302 and 351 Windsor, another for the big blocks like the 429 and 460, a version for the FE series engines like the 390 and 428, and a diesel-specific version for engines like the 6.9 and 7.3 liter IDIs. Hey guys, future editor Ed here, and I just wanted to make a note that the transmission that you see up on the screen now is the diesel version of the C6. The bell housing is extremely similar to the big block housing for the 460, but there's a cutout on the bottom for the diesels that's a little bit different, and also the dowel locations and the holes don't quite line up between the big block and the diesel bell housings. Now you can make one fit the other with some modifications, but it's a bunch of work. So your best bet if you have a 460 is to go out and find a big block housing. If you've got a diesel, go out and find a diesel housing. But just to let you guys know that you can make modifications to make those two interchangeable if you really want to. And it didn't stop at cars and trucks. The C6 even powered industrial gear and military vehicles. Its rugged build made it a perfect fit for extreme environments, whether it was digging trenches or rolling through battlefields. Ford hit the jackpot with this one, and the C6's rock-solid design locked in its legendary status. Now you might be wondering which vehicles came with the C6. From 1967 to 1996, it was a staple in F-Series trucks, paired with engines like the 309-6, 351 Windsor, 390 FE, and 460 Big Block. It also showed up in Broncos, Galaxies, Mustangs, Cougars, and Thunderbirds, just to name a few. Ford even made 4x4 variants by modifying the tail shaft to bolt up directly to transfer cases like the NP205 and BorgWarner's 1356. With all this versatility, it's no wonder the C6 became Ford's go-to automatic gearbox for all those years. Let's get into the specs. The C6 is a 3-speed automatic with gear ratios of 2.46 to 1 in first, 1.46 to 1 in second, and direct 1 to 1 in third. Reverse comes in at 2.18 to 1. This thing is built tough, tipping the scales at around 165 pounds dry. The main case, along with the bell housing, is aluminum. Every now and then you'll find a cast iron tail shaft, but those are very rare and for specific applications, so generally the tail shaft will also be cast aluminum. It holds 10 to 12 quarts of Type F fluid, which is famous for its friction properties that give the C6 those crisp, snappy shifts. If you keep up with your fluid changes and filter swaps, this transmission will run smooth for decades. But the C6 wasn't just tough, it also changed the game with some really clever innovations. One standout feature was BorgWarner's flexible shift band. Traditional rigid shift bands wore unevenly and led to sloppy shifts over time. The flexible shift band in the C6 wrapped evenly around the drum, delivering smoother, more precise shifts and serious staying power. It's the kind of thing you just might not notice until it's not working. One of the C6's smartest features is its Simpson planetary gear set. This setup combines two planetary gear assemblies into one compact unit, cutting down on moving parts while cranking up torque transfer. What does that mean for you? Well, it's less complexity, fewer breakdowns, and better performance, especially when towing or tackling really steep grades. That Simpson gear set is why the C6 can handle heavy loads and big horsepower like a champ, making it a favorite for racers and heavy-duty truck enthusiasts alike. The C6 also offered Ford's select shift capability, letting drivers manually hold the transmission in first, second, or third gear using the column or console shifter. It gave drivers the control they needed for towing, tackling steep grades, or handling rough off-road terrain. Now, while this might sound like a standard fare today, thanks to manual modes and paddle shifters, select shift was ahead of its time. With mechanical linkages and internal valves adjusting the gears, it gave drivers a hands-on, tactile feel with every shift. Back in the 60s and 70s, this feature made the C6 stand out as a driver-focused automatic. The C6 was sometimes referred to in conjunction with Ford's Select Shift Cruise-O-Matic branding, highlighting its smooth shifting and driver control features. Select Shift was a key part of that image, proving you could have comfort, capability, and control all in one package. One of the C6's biggest strengths is its old-school simplicity, which makes it a favorite for installations, swaps, service, and upgrades. Its one-piece design for the bell housing and main case eliminates weak points, making it tough as nails and practically leak-proof. Two big wins over older automatics. Builders love the C6 because it can take on serious horsepower right out of the box, and with a few tweaks, it is practically unstoppable. Of course, no transmission is perfect, and the C6 is no exception. The gears start slipping, it's usually down to worn clutches or running low on fluid. Hard shifts, that's often a sticky valve body. Leaks, those usually pop up around the pan gasket or seals, especially in older units that haven't seen regular TLC. Stay on top of fluid changes and keep an eye on seals to head off most problems before they get serious. There's also a few other downsides to keep in mind with the C6. The biggest downside is no overdrive gear. At highway speeds, the engine revs pretty high, which kills fuel economy. That's why a lot of builders looking for modern drivability swap in transmissions like the AOD or E4OD, which come with overdrive. Another drawback is the weight. It's a hefty unit, and the extra mass can be a concern for certain builds. The C6 also isn't the most efficient. It eats up more power compared to modern automatics before getting it down to the wheels. Now, let's talk about hooking it up and plugging it in. The C6's input shaft has 31 splines at the torque converter end and 30 at the clutch hub. Thanks to its consistent spline design across all the model years, torque converters are typically interchangeable across years and models as long as they match the engine family, that's small block, big block, FE, or diesel. Ford offered a range of torque converters with stall speeds tailored for specific vehicles and applications. Thankfully, the aftermarket has you covered. If you need something custom, higher stall converters are a favorite for performance builds, while heavy-duty options shine for towing and off-roading. Pick the right converter for your engine's power band and how you drive, and you'll squeeze every ounce of performance out of your C6. Speaking of upgrades, the C6 has one of the best supported aftermarket ecosystems you're going to find. Shift kits are a go-to upgrade for crisper shifts and less slippage, while high stall converters and steel planetary gears are staples of high-performance builds. Chasing extreme horsepower? Builders often even beef up the case and swap in heavy-duty clutches and bands. For off-roaders, a deep transmission pan is a must. It boosts fluid capacity and keeps things cooler under tough conditions. If you're thinking about alternatives to the C6, the AOD and E4OD, which I mentioned earlier, are worth a look. The AOD throws in an overdrive gear, making it perfect for highway cruising, but don't expect it to outlast the C6 in terms of toughness. The E4OD, on the other hand, is a heavy-duty 4-speed with overdrive built for towing and hauling. It's more complex and expensive, but it's a fantastic choice for modernizing an old truck. For lighter-duty jobs, the FMX or C4 are solid options. They're smaller and lighter, and they won't stand up to the same torque as a C6. So, down to the bottom line, the C6 is a tank. Rugged, dependable, and ready for just about anything. It's right at home in trucks, off-road rigs, or even high-performance street cars, any build where toughness takes a spotlight. Sure, it's not the most modern or fuel-efficient option, but its simplicity and strengths make it a true classic that's pretty hard to ignore. Whether you're restoring a classic Ford or dreaming up your next swap, the C6 should definitely make your shortlist. All right, guys, well, there you go. That's everything that I know, or pretend to know, about the Ford C6 automatic transmission. Now, I don't know if you know more than your mechanic does at this point, but, I feel like I learned a bunch doing this video. I hope you did too. Guys, if you did, give me a like, give me a subscribe. That really does help me out. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, gripes, if I got something wrong, put them in the comments. I read them all. I really appreciate that. Thanks again so much for watching, guys, and we will see you next time.
She's rough around the edges, but she's doing fine. Tinkering away, getting things to shine. That woman knows garage, she's considered divine. Thanks again for